go.
It's not worth having.
That's I just buy the Target brand. The like $15 5-pack. I get 2 packs at a time until they wear out, you know?
Dude, my wife has got me
All
hooked
black.
to the Shinesty. They have the ball hammock, and it holsters them boys all day, keeps them from sweating. And it's a subscription, so I get a random design, have no idea what to expect.
Monthly underwear.
Monthly underwear. So
Very
it's
cool.
always up to date,
Yeah.
and my nuts are always happy. So today on the Pushback, we have an episode I've been looking forward to for a while. I've been talking with Christian about this. We have our men, Mike and Nick. Is it Vitali or Vital? How do you pronounce the last name?
Vitali is great, just like you said.
Perfect. Mike and Nick Vitali, which are the founders of Craft&Ride.
Yeah, father-son duo, right?
And- yep.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Awesome.
So if we know anything about Craft&Ride off the top of my head, the first thing I think of is that when I've bought my Onewheel GT, all of a sudden I'm served ads about this company that has all these products and all this extra money I now need to spend on my Onewheel.
Some pretty good retargeting you guys got going on there.
Thank you.
Dude, actually, when I bought, I've said this on the podcast before, but when I bought my very first Onewheel, like a year ago or whatever, when I bought the XR, I was told to buy stuff from your shop. And so, of course, when you're buying a Onewheel for the first time, you're like consuming all the Onewheel content that you can possibly find. And so I just ordered preemptively. I got my helmet, my rail guard things, and like a bunch of stuff from you guys. And I wrote in the comments like, "Hey, my Onewheel's like on the way." Like, and this is everybody told me to shop with you guys. And then you guys handwritten note. So pumped. Thanks for this. You know, whatever. Like this really nice. I kept it for a long time. A really nice handwritten note about how stoked you guys were, your team was that I was getting a Onewheel. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. This community is the best community. And so I've made like 3 other purchases from you guys in the last year. I love like the whole vibe of your stuff. So thanks.
We appreciate the support.
Appreciate that.
So I want to start out with our kind of known question, and that is I want to get the background of how Mike and Nick got into Onewheel.
Sure.
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. We realized back in 2017 that there was an opportunity to
Got
make.
into Onewheel.
I'm sorry.
Got into riding Onewheel.
Yeah, so we can. I can take it back even farther. Nick's saying go farther back. So
Yep.
Nick and I were riding electric skateboards prior to Onewheel. I grew up skateboarding in Southern California, competing in Castle, the California Amateur Skateboard League, and so
Sick.
always into board sports and snowboarding. And so, then came electric skateboarding, and Nick and I were doing that, various off-road ones. There was a company called Altered that was based here in Southern California, and I kind of connected with the owner, and so we were enjoying that. And then the Kickstarter campaign came about with Onewheel, and we jumped on that opportunity immediately. That Kickstarter campaign, I think, was in 2014 with Onewheel. We purchased in 2015, might have been purchased in 2014, got it in 2015, and ever since haven't stopped riding Onewheel. What we recognized is that there was an opportunity to take what we learned from riding skateboards and make the experience better, starting with a foot pad. Because of what concave does for a board sport, it then enabled us to create the first ever concave foot pad for Onewheel, which was the One Tail Plus, which was the first ever, and I believe still the only extended foot pad on the market. And to this day, that was our first product. It's still selling from what will be almost 6 years. So that's where Craft&Ride was started. We recognized that, hey, there's got to be a better fender on the market. There's got to be a stronger fender, a lighter fender, and so we went into carbon fiber. And then from those 2 products, today we're north of, over 100 variations of products. And that includes everything, as you know, from rail protection to fenders to backpacks to, bearings to tires. And so, little by little, we realized that we wanted to be the location that you went to for everything Onewheel, with the utmost, focus on customer support and always putting the customer first. My background is 27 years in startups in corporate America, and realized that, hey, I've learned a lot. Like, how do we take that and encapsulate it into a company that's, focused on electric board sports. And so we did that. And so every day, we wake, it's all about the customer experience. You guys have experienced that, and we appreciate the feedback. So we continue that. That's the number one thing we think about. It's not about, what's the next product. It's how do we make that customer experience better first and then create the next product. So that's sort of been our focus and one of our customer, our company values, I should say, putting the customer first. I'll let Nick add to that if there's anything.
Oh yeah, nailed it.
Nailed it.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, right on. Nick, were you also like board sports, like same as Mike, or?
Yeah. So I kind of grew up like throughout high school. I would longboard a lot. I didn't really skateboard too much. I would try, but not too much. That's sort of what Mike was into. And then Mike got me into electric skateboarding, like he mentioned, and we would ride electric skateboards a lot. And then once he got a Onewheel, I found out about Onewheel through him. So it wasn't something that I brought to him. Like this was totally Mike, and so discovered it through him. We started riding together, and yeah. But so my background's really just been, longboarding, some skateboarding, but yeah.
Nick was on the computer most of the time, so thank God, because we probably wouldn't be where we're at today. The background of the company and building the company and shaping the company, all of the, you talked about ad retargeting and just everything from web development. That's Nick. I mean, these guys, he and his brother were building websites at 12 years old.
Nice.
And it's such a different time for all of us because, and maybe not so much you guys because you're far younger than me, but the generation that Nick was in was all about being in front of the computer and being taught by YouTube and also, in college, learning coding and everything like that. So that is, I always, bring that up because we wouldn't be where we're at if it wasn't for his piece. I think if you take the culmination of, being in corporate America, building startups, and then the generation that Nick grew up in, that you all probably grew up in as well, is just understanding coding and building websites and how to attract the attention of a customer that's buying through the internet. And so that's sort of what's put us on the map today. I always like to give him that credit because I certainly don't take credit for that.
Thank you.
Props to Nick. And Mike, like, what was that? Like, this is for me personally as a business owner. Like, what was that moment like for you going from corporate America to being able to be in like such a Stoke-filled community? Like,
yeah.
how was that progression for you?
Yeah, it's amazing. I never look back and wish that I would have done anything different because the foundation that I earned having been in corporate America for about 17 years and then about 10 years in startups, taking both of those and then building your own company is really like the recipe for success. Like I've learned from incredible CEOs, people that took the chance to start a company, and I've been through raising capital, I've been through sitting in board meetings, and so all of that has enabled us to be, some of the success has come from that. And so to answer your question though specifically, there's something about being part of those other companies and being recognized, but also being forgotten if an idea comes to the forefront. Like a company like AT&T where I came from, nothing bad to say, but when you speak about an idea and you're part of an 80,000 person machine, that idea just sort of gets put by the wayside. If you're part of a startup, which I was, and you bring an idea to the forefront, you can see that idea to fruition, and to see that idea come about is incredible. And here at Craft&Ride, we execute every day on ideas that we have. We don't wait 6 months. We don't wait 3 weeks. We have an idea, we write it down, and we make it happen. And so I think that's what, anybody starting a small business, whether you sell, Beanie Babies or you're selling, cars, like at the end of the day, it's about execution. Like if you can think it and you make it happen, like you're going to be successful. And so I think that's the key is whether it's developing a product or implementing a new customer support capability, like you've got to move on it. And we used to call it getting in your own way in the corporate world. When you get in your own way, it ain't going to happen. And letting others get in your own way. And so I think breaking down barriers is the key, and really just getting in front of those things and making it happen. And no excuses. And talking about things is fun, but making them happen is everything. So
yeah, and I think to your question as well, like what was it like for him going from corporate America to the Onewheel community? Like watching him all the years growing up and then doing Craft&Ride together, like he's a completely different person, you know, like working with the community and all these riders and being able to make decisions on our own, like he's talking about executing on our own ideas, not being prevented from doing so. Like just, but his ability to be within the community, speak with riders, he writes every single note on every order. The note that you received is from Mike. And so his connection with the community has changed the way, you know, he is. And so I think that, you know, from being from the outside, watching the transition from corporate to the Onewheel community and what we're grateful to do, it's been an amazing transition, and we're both very grateful. You know, every day we get to wake up and be a part of it.
Yeah, Nick answered the question that was posed to me better than I did, so thank you. But yeah, I always seem to veer off from that one. But what I will say is that there was a point in the development of our company where we made a decision to go full-time, meaning I, myself. It was a sort of a juggling effort. In year one, Nick was in school, the thing was taking off, and it's like, okay, what do we do? You coming back home? Like, and then there was me still managing and leading companies and realizing that, okay, we got to make a decision. This thing is growing, you know, and it was Nick that helped say, we're going to do this and we're going to move forward. I'll never forget that day sitting in my backyard. My wife, Christy, who also works for the company, and we're very grateful for all that she does. We just made a decision. And I really think that the company, both, you know, Nick and I working together and how we worked with customers completely changed, because we were able to put 100% together, and doing that really elevated the company to the next level. And I think that, what's it been, 3 years now, 2.5? I can't even remember, but
about 3.
Try not to, yeah. So, but
How
hopefully that
many
answers your question.
employees do you guys have now, or like how many
We,
people work there? I guess.
Yeah, so actual employees were a total of 6. You wouldn't believe it, but we're very efficient. The interesting thing that we've done is we have many other members to the team, but they're not actual employees. I wouldn't call them
Partners of ours.
contracted, but they're partners of ours. So our carbon fiber partners, our wood manufacturing, all of them are within arm's reach. So that advantage is huge. And, you know, enabling us to focus on other areas of the company without bringing on 15, 20 employees. And again, there's nothing wrong with having a lot of employees. I'm sure we'll continue to grow. But one of our, you know, where we're pretty proud of is that we haven't had to build such a big team to do what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm
We
impressed
try to be
that
super efficient.
I'm impressed that you guys can handle that kind of volume, because I know you guys are busy all the time.
Yeah, like carpal tunnel from all them notes or something, right?
like I've had 2 notes
Every
from
day
you
starts
this
with the
year.
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day starts with the notes. It's a commitment that we made, and we said that if it gets to a point where I can't write the notes anymore, then other employees of the company are going to be writing the notes with us. We
That's
won't
awesome.
stop that ever. Yeah, even if I have to hire
I mean, that
2
personal
other note writers.
touch makes such a difference, right? I mean,
Yeah.
whether I'm getting a note from the Float Life, Craft and Ride, like that, it's like a community standard that you guys have, I would say,
Pioneered, maybe, yeah.
right?
Yeah, you know, I mean, there are others that do it. We're not the only ones, but I will say that what it does for me is that, you know, there's something to be said for writing a goal down and achieving that goal. You can achieve that goal far greater or much more likely if you write it down. So when I write someone's name down and I read their name, I always read their first and last name. I remember that name. And so when I see them on the forum and I'm liking their post, it brings me closer to the customer. I know it sounds cliche, but at the end of the day, like, it's true. And so I remember these names because I read them and I write them. And so, you know, to be able to say that, and, you know, we're talking about a lot of names. So it's special. It brings you, and then when you go to places like Float Life Fest or other events, you can remember people by name, or they'll say their name and you'll remember, oh yeah, you mentioned their last name. And so it just makes it extra special, and it never gets old. And you said at the beginning of the podcast, and we appreciate that. And it's great that people recognize that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, I have one question. I read on your bio when I was kind of trying to just get a picture of you guys before I met you. Your very first idea, your prototype, you sawed a skateboard in half and bolted it to a Onewheel.
Yep.
I want to hear about that kind of like.
Yeah.
So
we were
cool.
sitting at a hamburger joint nearby, and this is where the idea came about. We were literally just eating lunch. It was Nick, myself, and Christy, my wife, Nick's mom, and I said, I think we can really make the board better if we just create a concave footpad. And while we knew we weren't going to saw skateboards in half to make this product, we knew it was the starting point to create a concept for what we had envisioned. And so with my skateboarding background, I'm like, okay, let's go to the skate shop. We're going to buy a Powell Peralta pool deck. Why? Because they're wider. They've got a nice kick. The concave's usually good. So we grabbed a Powell Peralta skull and rail deck. We cut it in half. I think we might have had to re-drill holes. We did. And the problem was, and which had to be, immediately re-engineered, is that there's so much concave that in order to bolt it down to the rails, you've got like this and you're screwing in and the board's not laying flat. Something that bothered Nick so much when we were developing our first version of the one tail was like, we've got to figure out how to make this thing completely flat on the bottom. So that meant going to a thing like, and by the way, I'll fast forward, from the skate deck, we then created our first version of that, which was our own skate deck in its own mold to try to achieve a much better fit. Still wasn't what we wanted. I think we sold hundreds, like we couldn't keep them in stock, and knew that there was an opportunity for it. So that then prompted us to build our own. Today, we have stacks and stacks in the warehouse of thin veneers that 18 pieces of veneer create one tail extreme, as an example. But what happens to that is it gets pressed, and then it gets CNC'd, and then it gets hand-shaped. It's incredible how much goes into our foot pads. I think we're now north of 20 different foot pads, not all wood, some urethane. But there's a lot of work that goes into that. Hand shaping, guys that have been doing skateboards for 20 plus years. So it's not Nick and I, it's people that know what they're doing that only do that. And the people that work for us only build Craft&Ride products, whether it's our stands, our foot pads, that's all they do. It wasn't like that forever, but we've got to a volume where we had to make sure that we didn't get into a situation where we couldn't make them. So we finally figured out how to make this board super flat on the bottom by CNCing with the top mold, and that's what created a perfect fit foot pad for Onewheel. And we've been doing that. I don't even know the count, but it's thousands of foot pads that that have graced the Onewheel and made it a better experience. Hopefully
that fit is so perfect that I didn't even know it was made of wood. Like, it's, when you look at, because they're painted black, right? I mean, typically
some are black, some are like a stained maple.
Okay.
Wood
the only one that I've experienced personally was black, and it's like, it's heavy and nice, and like not heavy, like hard to lift. Like,
it's thick. And,
and and it's so nice, but I had no idea it was made of wood until I read your bio and said that you still make them out of wood, except for the obvious ones that are advertised as not being made out of wood. I was like, holy cow, and that's so cool.
We'll continue that for as long as the market demands it. And to this day, we're able to work a little bit faster. So if we want to create a new foot pad, we get to the drawing board and put ideas together. Our newest foot pad is the pint flare, which is the widest pint foot pad on the market. Really incredible shape. While there's a lot of the work that goes into it, we can, creating a mold, aluminum mold in a CNC machine, sitting down at the drawing board and creating new design. That all takes time. We can move a lot faster with wood. But, that's one of the reasons that's allowed us to have a myriad of different designs.
Nice. So, I'm curious too, from all the original products that you guys create, right? When or how did it come about that you guys, because you guys will carry products from the Float Life, right? You'll carry them from third party or other people who are making this stuff. When did the idea to basically make I'm going to call it the Onewheel Mall, come about? How did you guys start to develop those connections? Did it just start with just the one tail pads, and then you started making connections afterwards, or what? Is this more of Nick's feedback, or how did this come about?
Yeah, Nick will share his thoughts on that.
Yeah, for sure. So we started with the one tail, obviously, and then from there we branched out to carbon fiber fenders. Okay. And at the same time that we were doing that, there were other members within the community that were creating great products, and so we figured that working together is probably better than not. And so we partnered with members of the community and sort of put them on a pedestal to where we're selling a lot of one tails, we're selling a lot of carbon fiber fenders. The customers that are buying from us for these products probably would love to buy your product if it was on our website, and they may not know about it. So it's a great opportunity to work together and put that on our website. And so we started doing that, carrying other people's products, the Float Life's products, like a year or two into our company. and it worked out great. And as the years went on, there's lots of riders in the community, a lot of smart, business-minded people that created their own products, and so we saw opportunities to work with those people and bring their products onto our website. And it's been a great relationship with all the people that we work with, and it's sort of created an opportunity to where we put these products that maybe some people don't know about really well, and we put them on a pedestal on our website with all the other products that we have, and it sort of elevates not only our brand but the brands that we partner with.
Yeah, our objective is to give people choice, and Nick said it very well. Like, the biggest thing is that we wouldn't be successful without a lot of those companies. So many great entrepreneurs in the community, and we have really, really solid relationships with every one of them. So to have that kind of working relationship and not have it be contentious and competitive, like certainly there's competition, but if there wasn't, it wouldn't be a healthy market, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But we're super close. I can call Jeff up and talk to him about whatever, and Jeremy and the community and so many others, and we're grateful for that. And we love the fact that we've helped each other in so many different ways, and that will continue. That's what built Craft&Ride. It certainly isn't our own products. It's everything. It's a culmination of multiple brands coming together.
Amazing. Now, I don't want to get like too deep into this, and you don't have to answer in the way that you want to, but how is the relationship with Future Motion?
Yeah, I mean, we have a significant amount of respect for Future Motion. Number one, because I know Nick feels exactly the same, that we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them.
Right.
We wouldn't have this incredible sport, I'll call it, that all of us are enjoying. Every day I ride, like, there's never a day where I'm not grateful for being able to be on that board. But at the same time, like, this has given me a tremendous opportunity, as well as Nick and my family, and all the partners that we work with, to build companies. I think Kyle said it recently, and I'm so good at veering off, so I'll come back to your actual
that's
question.
okay. Go for
But
it.
Kyle said it recently that, he was talking about, it's a little bit like snowboarding where all these companies were being created. And I grew up in that time. I actually had a snowboard clothing company back in the early 90s.
Nice.
And I had friends that created, some of the biggest snowboard companies that I went to high school with. And so it's very true. It's very similar, very reminiscent of that. And I see it in every way. And so going back to your question, I'm sorry. Can you repeat your exact question and I'll answer?
Yeah, no, just coming into like what the relationship is. I would say
Yes.
mutually
Yes.
with Future Motion, whether that's
Yes.
their feedback to you, your feedback to theirs is
I
obviously.
mean, to be clear, we're not asking you to talk shit. We just
Yeah, no.
no.
No, not at all.
We're
It's a
always
great
curious
question.
and bringing it to the community of like, how does that stand with the relationship? What does
Yeah.
it come across? Like, you guys, again, like, if we're gonna put things on the market, is where it is. Like, Craft&Ride is at the top, right? You guys are the biggest one-wheel supplier of third-party products or things to go onto the Onewheel, right? So
I think it's a great question. The way I would answer that is that first and foremost, I think we both stay in our own lane. We don't get in their way. We know what not to do. We have a relationship at the marketing level. Does Kyle know who we are? Do others know who we are? I'm sure they do. But we don't have a every day or every month or weekly conversation. We see each other at events. We're supportive. There's handshakes. But we stay in our own lanes, right? Like, it's very competitive. Like, are we digging into their accessory revenue? Absolutely. But we don't. There's no contention between the two of us. I think
Gotcha.
I hope they know that we have a high level of respect for what they do and what they give us as a gift to be able to create a company and to have this thing under our feet. That's
Right.
incredible. But I think Nick, you'd probably say the same thing, right? We're grateful. I would say our relationship is good. Jack, Mudd, and Craft&Ride are friends from a marketing perspective, and two separate companies that technically compete against each other.
Yeah.
But that's the best I could tell you.
Yeah, and I would say that, I think where we come from, everything that Mike said is I agree with. But the other part that we come from is, one, we're very grateful for what they've created. I think a lot of people within the community take for granted what they've created. It's an extreme accomplishment to do what they do. The Onewheel GT is something nobody else has ever done, and so if we all take a step back and we look at what they've done, it's quite incredible. And so we're all very early to something that's going to be very big in the future. There's a lot of things that they do that annoy the community, send the wrong message to the community. But what people have to understand is that they are, one, protecting what they've created so that, one, we can all continue to enjoy it, right? If they don't protect their product and their product gets knocked off and it affects the way that their company performs, it affects all of us. It affects the people that just want to enjoy their one wheel. It affects us as a company. And so it's extremely important that we all respect the fact that they're making decisions to try to keep their company alive and protect the product that they've created. And so you have to understand that. I think the most important part of it all is the safety aspect. There's a lot of things that they do to protect the safety of the one wheel and to ensure that every rider that steps on a one wheel is safe. When you start to tamper with the one wheel and do things that they don't want you to, a lot of times it's not because they don't want you to buy a product from Craft&Ride. They don't want you to because they don't want you to mess up the one wheel and for something to go wrong, and one, for you to get hurt, but two, for the news to say, one wheel blew up, and the news doesn't really talk about the fact that the rider actually went into their board and messed with it or put a new battery or whatever. They're trying to protect their board and their riders from getting hurt and from their company getting backlash. And so I think a lot of the things that they do get misinterpreted by the community. At the same token, we've dealt with a lot in the past from them, and we've handled it and understood that this is just what comes with it, and we have lost no respect for them. We're completely willing to work with them, and if they ever wanted to do something bigger with Craft&Ride, we're right there ready to help them become an even bigger part of the community.
Boom.
That's well said.
That's what
That
we.
was
I mean,
really
we
well
loved
said,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
extremely well said.
was
I mean,
well said, yeah.
none of us would be here fucking
Dude,
riding one wheels
I mean,
without
that's the thing
one
is,
wheel.
I have a bit of a problem with certain things that they do, and we're not here to talk about that necessarily. I've talked about it plenty of times, and whatever. But I just gave them $2,700 for my GT that's arriving today. You know what I mean? Like, I still love them.
Yeah.
I still I want to give them all my money so that they keep making the thing that changed my life forever. I'm not that old, but I used to skateboard a lot, and my body at 36, almost 37, isn't what it used to be. And this board gave me just, that dopamine, like that, just that skateboard vibe.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, oh, it doesn't actually hurt me. I mean, it hurts when you fall, but like, it doesn't hurt me to ride this. It's such a low impact on my body that and it's so fast and free. And like, I mean, those guys, every time I ride on it, I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Like this is the best way to travel. And,
The first time you tell somebody that you can snowboard uphill, that's just it's a game changer, you know?
Right.
such
One
a
thing
rad
to close
product.
on, one comment to close on that specific area is that, you can buy $100,000 German car and have 5 recalls in the lifetime of that car or more, which is extremely likely. I guarantee you look up most cars and they have a multitude of recalls. And we've got one recall that was addressed, right? And during that whole time that there was issues, you had people just banging their heads against the table trying to figure out what was going on, software, changing a manufacturing design. Nobody was sitting back. They were trying to solve it. It's a major expense. And they came to the table and fixed it, right? We all believed it to be fixed. And so it's not abnormal to build something that, rides you along the beach at 20 miles an hour that basically is bouncing for you and, thinking for you and to have one recall. Like, we just have to take a step back and realize that that's going to happen with stuff, right?
Yeah.
It happens with everything.
Yeah, and
So
I think
it's
I'm not sure who said this in the past. It may have been when he was on or something, but he said somebody when we were talking about like the VESC stuff compared to the Future Motion controller, they were like, that software that Future Motion wrote is artwork. Like, it is amazing and beautiful.
Listen,
and they should protect it. You know what I mean? That's I agree with you on that 100%. And
one thing. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Please.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I came from the software world, and specifically in the smartphone space in the early days, speaking of BlackBerry. And every time you would solve a problem, you would create another problem. And so, and I know that those from Future Motion that are listening to this will be like, yep, he's right. I'm telling you that when you try to fix something in the software world, you open the door to something else that's problematic. Then you have to then create that. So you're building on building on building on issues. And so we don't see all that. Like when they say there's a new release, to get to that release is incredible. It's unbelievable what it takes. And I'm talking about something that you're standing on, moving, not a smartphone. So I don't even want to know what, goes into it, but they have some pretty incredible people there that are trying to make everything that we enjoy better. So to Nick's point, the number one thing I think a takeaway from this and anybody that's listening is let's respect them in every way that we can, support them in every way that we can, because companies don't last if they get beat up. And I understand, like, no one called you back because you didn't get, a response when you said you have a warranty issue and it takes time. Well, that's because look, they're dealing with a lot of people and they're still in growth mode, right?
And we're not blind to there are things that go on that we see.
Sure.
And, we agree with the community. We're not, 100%. There's not doing anything wrong. There's a lot of things that we believe that they can work on, but we like to look at the other side and be like, how can we work together? How can we as a community support them because they are what's driving this for all of us, right? So we're just looking at the other side of it and trying to stay positive and push everything forward.
100%. No, I love that answer, and I think that's a beautiful answer for all the people listening who are into Onewheel stuff. It's a good reminder to them, like, hey, the device you're riding on was created, so be thankful.
Yeah, and it took a long time and a lot of everything, and I believe in the the resale market and stuff. I believe in buying things used and everything, but all three of our Onewheels, my wife's and mine, came directly from Future Motion. So like I'm all about buying things used if that's what you want to do, but in this case I just like several episodes ago, my wife was like, you kind of talk a lot of shit about Future Motion. I was like, oh, I should probably start talking about the things that I absolutely adore about them too, right?
Yeah.
Like this, there's two sides to that coin, and I shouldn't focus on the bad one.
Yep. We we're not, and we don't like to try to keep things negative on the show. Like we just, we listen to the community and try to, get feedback from the community and see what's going on. So sometimes you're tied up in the wrong end of things and other times you're in the right end. Speaking of the right end, though, I do want to transition this and talk about some things that Craft&Ride has on horizon, right? Because you guys, you said 20 plus foot pad variations, right? That's a lot of like.
Yeah, I know Nick's probably got the exact number in his head. Mine was a roundabout number, but if you look at the different variations, am I right?
Yeah, if you count all the variations, colors, and all that stuff, yeah, definitely north of 20.
There's a lot of variations.
Well, you have slight concave, more concave. You have longer. You have flight fins capable. You have, what I mean? Like it just starts to add up.
Pint.
GT, XR, Pint. We have the only, and you guys may or may not know this. We have the only asymmetrical foot pad, meaning if you're goofy, you could stand on the goofy side. If you're regular, you could stand on the regular side, and that's for Pint specifically. So you start to add these things up, and it really just starts stacking.
Yeah, that's a lot of different variations. So what's on the radar for Craft&Ride? Like what's coming? What's happening?
Yeah, well, right now we're really focused on the Onewheel GT and making aftermarket accessories for the Onewheel GT. Within the coming month, we're going to release 2 or actually 3 very important products. The first is called Craft&Ride Cabrio fenders, and those are going to be available. Yeah, we got them right here. Those are going to be available for the GT and the Pint. That's the GT model right there.
Those are sick.
Yeah, like semi fenders. They do block debris, but they're for the riders, that normally are like, oh, I don't want to use a fender, right? So, but this is for that rider that doesn't want to use a fender, but they pop it on. It looks really cool, and it still blocks some debris, and that's for them, right? And then the other product, that's going to be available for GT and Pint. So those 2 fenders, and then here's a little look at the Pint one too. It's a little bit more square.
A little small. If you see,
Yeah.
next to each
So
other,
did
can
you
see, like, the
you
difference.
created this for the XR too, right? Is this already out?
Oh, we have not.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, so we started developing these around the time that the XR was being discontinued.
Okay.
And so we chose not to produce a mold for the XR, but we've had a ton of feedback that people want these for the XR. So I think that we may.
I mean, it's a huge reason why. So I ride with fins, right? So I've got the flight fin set up, but I still have if I don't want to ride with fins for a while, just take them off, and I do not remove my flight fender. I love it. I love the tire being exposed.
That's what I like too.
But I
seeing
love
the tire.
not having mud and shit just blast me while
Yeah.
we're in Ohio, right? We don't get dry weather all the time.
We
to
have
ride.
6 clear days a year to ride, so it's
Right.
So the third product is the magnetic fender. So this is for the rider that could be in your situation where they're getting a ton of mud on some days, it rains, right? So they take the fender, they pop it on magnetically, no screws, and they use it for the day to stay, protected from debris. They take it off when they don't want to ride with the fender. So that's magnetic, and that's also coming out within a month. So we're very excited to drop
And that's
these
for the
products.
GT,
And
the magnetic fender.
This
Okay.
is for the GT, correct.
So how
it's already available for the Pint and the XR.
are you with that magnetic fender? How does it work? Does it go over top of the delete, or does it come with delete pieces to come in? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so the magnetic fender installs on top of the delete, and it installs with 4 steel mounts. So you put 1 steel mount on each screw hole corner, and then the fender itself goes right on top. It has magnets in the corners right here that pop onto the mounts. And we build on top of the fender delete because the fender delete and the whole design of the Onewheel is patented, and so we can't really recreate that fender delete. And when it comes to these half fenders, I'd love to make a built-in delete, and have a whole one-piece system that pops on, but that stuff is patented, and we want to respect their patents, so we build on top of it. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Very cool.
We devised a system that we've been using for quite some time called Mountain Ride. And so rather than it just being a steel block, it actually has notches that allow the fender to get shoved or hit at different angles, both from the outside and then the back or front, and not pop off. But it also obviously is designed that with the right hit, the fender can come off on purpose built, so that the fender doesn't break under undue stress.
So
or
it doesn't
a
shatter
big
when
drop.
you're. Yeah, that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
when you're, because
so-
we all roll our boards over and they go tumbling down hills
Sure.
and stuff, right? You don't want to. I just spent good money on a good product. I don't want it to shatter under the. I mean, the
Exactly.
GT's like what, 35 pounds? I forget how heavy that is, but that's a lot
right
of
around there.
that's a lot of force. Now, is this the one that I've seen you, Nick, attaching and then picking the board up with it? Is it that strong? You can pick the GT up with it?
Yeah, so the magnetic fender can pick the XR and the Pint up because I believe they're like 27 and mid-20s for the Pint. But with the GT, it's 35 pounds, so you can't
So you
lift
can't
it by
get
the
it.
fender. But it's
Okay.
still just as strong as those.
Sure.
It's just that the board's heavier. So
Yeah.
But yeah, we use the strongest possible magnets that we can source, and the biggest size that we can put them in the fender. But yeah, so it's super strong. It's going to stay locked onto the board. But yeah, in terms of picking it up, you can't do that.
Yeah, we went through a revision 1 of magnetic fender and realized that we could make this stronger. So when we introduced Pint was the first ever to have the stronger magnets, and then everything for XR shifted to a new magnet size. When you get in the world of neodymium, which is a rare earth magnet, the thicker you get and the larger you get, you can actually, if you took 2 squares about this big and put it on each side of your hand, it would crush your bones because that's how strong the magnets are. Yeah, so I always use that as an example because I've seen a video where it's like, do not put these magnets between your hands or fingers. And yeah, they're super, super strong. Like, it's incredible this is not your mom's refrigerator magnet, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I have an interesting question for you guys too. For one of the things, like we'll call it a promo, that I've seen you guys do is like your trade-in programs, and I think you guys are the really only one I've seen that does this. How many just beat the shit foot pads and parts that you guys have traded in do you guys just have sitting in boxes in your in your warehouse?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll answer that because every day Nick's like, will you please recycle those foot pads? Get them out. Get them out. So I have this vision that I'm going to create like an incredible art installation. I'm not sure where I'm going to get the time or who the artist is going to be that's going to do it. But I have more stock foot pads than anyone next to Future Motion.
Oh my gosh.
So we've got tons of boxes of foot pads that, with fenders, by the way, they go right in the recycle bin. Like, our intention was get them off the market, recycle, do something good with them. And so every one of those gets recycled. It's all the plastic gets recycled. However it gets recycled, it goes into this special bin. But the foot pads, I just know that someday we'll do something. But Nick's like, did you throw them away yet? Did you throw them away yet? And
It's
anyway,
like, well,
so we
so
still
I've
have
seen
them.
I've seen people like with skateboards, right? They'll go to skate shops
yeah.
and they'll take the skateboards and they'll make them into furniture or delaminate
I saw a
them
video.
and all that.
It's so funny you said that because I saw a video last night. The videos that capture you on Facebook and you can't get away from it.
Yeah.
It was like taking skateboards and making a car shift knob out of a skateboard deck.
Yes.
And so,
I've seen
but yeah,
cool stuff
you're
like
right.
that.
Like we've thought about like making like OG one wheel stands out of foot pads and like, doing something. So anyway, they're stacking up. People love the program, and
it's such a
working.
cool program that you
Yeah,
guys
it's
offer,
cool.
and that's, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind when I had seen it, it was like, what the hell are they gonna do with all that stuff once it comes in? Just boxes.
we just
full.
want to give people the opportunity to experience our products, and you put hard work and effort to get what you paid for, or as a part of your one wheel. And most recently, we just introduced the handle trade-in program. How many times have you guys seen a broken handle, whatever type it is? There's all kinds of broken handles out there, and we've, one of the first products that we brought into our company is the Masco silver handle. And so Greg, that's our great partner, he works closely with us. And we exclusively sell that handle. And so we really wanted to let everybody experience that. And there's tens of thousands of riders that use that handle since day one. And so I've been pushing Nick. I'm like, let's do this. I think we could do a trade-in, and it's working really well. So people are
So
taking
cool.
advantage of it.
What's the what's the blem situation? So I was told, because I've been recommended by several people to get your magnetic fender for the XR, and they were like, just buy a blem, because the first time you roll it over, you're gonna mess it up. How do you get what is the, are those like returns, or are those like you dropped them on the floor, or what's the
Tell them the
blem
honest
thing?
truth, like,
So what basically happens is when they get manufactured, they're injection molded. So mold closes, plastic flows in, mold open, or plastic cools, mold opens, and then the fender falls out of the mold, right? And then the fender's picked up. It's handled by a person that's managing the mold, and they're cutting and trimming and doing all that. Well, sometimes when that happens, fingernails will scratch a fender, or the fender will get scratched in the process of coming out of the mold and in the hands of the care person. But when that happens and there's a scratch, our fenders are like matte, so you can see everything. And so my mom, who's QC for everything, every product that goes out the door is touched by her and packaged, or prepared to be packaged. And so when she looks at these fenders, she's looking at everything. There's like a scratch that goes across, and she's like, "No, we got to blem it." So we blem it, and save our customers some money.
Damn,
and
talk
the
about
fender
quality
still goes out
control.
there.
Yeah, that's
I wish
awesome.
Future Motion had
Yeah.
a quality control program for the rail dings and stuff that have come in on brand new boards.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, what's funny is she won't let anything get by, and we're like, where is it? I don't see it. And so when customers open up their blem fender, their reviews, if you go read some of the reviews, they're like, I ordered a blem fender. I'm not even sure what's wrong with this. Like, it's just the standard is so high that we want to make sure that,
That's integrity right
That's
there.
so cool.
That's-
And I also, we just like have some merch that we sell like with our logo on it and stuff, but we copied you guys, and we do handwritten notes and stuff, and throw in some stickers.
awesome.
And when people buy like swag packs from us, we'll throw in whatever, but you guys do that. So one of my favorite designs, like sticker designs that you guys have, is the skeleton with the rail. Like, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I was gonna
I'm
ask.
Sure everybody
was
loves
that,
that. But
was that inspired by the Pal Peralta, like the OG design, like that first?
Yeah,
deck?
I mean, if you asked me sort of, who is my childhood inspiration, it's Rodney Mullen. I met
Yeah.
Rodney
Nice.
when I was a kid,
Sick.
and I was a freestyler. I freestyle skate. My freestyle skateboard today is Rodney Mullen's skateboard.
Nice.
And so that, the Bones Brigade and just everything growing up around Pal Peralta is what influenced us there. It's just a sort of, we have a family T-shirt that we don't sell. It's that design, and we give it away to friends and family and our employees, and we made some stickers, and so we've had
Man,
fun with that.
it's so cool.
It's really kind of like where the roots are. Like, it's where we.
Well, that was
it's
the
where
original. That was the
Yeah.
original deck that you had sawed in half too, right?
That's a little bit part of the story. Sure.
Yeah,
Exactly.
When I bought I bought a bigger one. I don't remember this. That was like a 4-inch one or a 3-inch sticker or something. And then you guys, I think I also bought a sticker pack or something, but I did not notice that you said on there, tell us the ones that you would prefer, and if they're in stock, we'll chuck one in or whatever. And so I didn't see that. So, but without me asking for it, you chucked in 2 extra ones of the sticker that I like. I was like, these guys are
Nice.
the best. Like, I
I
just
had
couldn't
that.
get over.
I had the that rail sticker on my wallet and on my phone for like 2 years before
Yeah.
it like finally rubbed off. But it's
I have it
a
on my helmet
sick design.
right here. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's an example of what my mom Christy, with every order does. Like, she saw that you bought that sticker and saw that you bought a sticker pack and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give him more of this if you pay for
Man,
this one."
I was
Here's the sticker
so
pack." That's the
pumped.
attention that, yeah,
Yeah.
That's the attention she has.
And to add what Nick said, if you ever see like a little heart or smiley face, I promise you it's not me. It's Kristen. So when you see hearts and smiley faces, well, I do smiley faces, but
Yeah.
but when we get to the hearts, that's Mama. She
That's
takes
awesome.
care of that, and yeah, she's and just to add, and I know we've talked about her a lot, but coming off of the Labor Day sale and just being so slammed. We were all here working all day yesterday. She just goes nonstop, and the amount of work that she puts in for the company is incredible. And she too knows every rider by name because she sees the invoices, she sees the special requests. If you're asking for a certain sticker, or you're asking, which we encourage, Christy's the one that's making sure you get it. And if she doesn't have it, she's like, well, Nick, what could we give them? What could we do to make it extra special? And so she keeps us organized to the, incredible. Like we wouldn't be able to do it without her. So
damn.
And
Shout
just
out,
to add,
shout out Mama Craft&Ride, right? Christy
and
in the house.
And to add, to the other guys that work for us, I love the clapping. Evo, Isaiah, Anthony, Ted. I mean, I could go on and on. Brian. There's so many amazing guys that work for us, and the amount of credit that's due to them for the hard work that they put in every day. And these are people that have been with us from the beginning, at least from the point where we started hiring. We've got tenured people, and we're super proud of that. And actually, just a little background too. Some of the guys that Nick grew up with playing soccer. Travel soccer are people that we handpicked to come work for us. So
that's
sick.
awesome.
That's
a lot
awesome.
of family. Obviously, they have to learn how to ride a one wheel, which they all know how to ride a one wheel. So they passed the one wheel test.
So speaking of one wheel riding, and I don't know, I'm gonna transition.
I was
this
gonna do that too.
here.
Go ahead.
I have a question about a niche within the niche, right? One wheelers, and then there's one wheelers who ride with chairs, are chair wheeling people. And we've seen videos of this, right? Dude, shout out your friend Chris Tulio on, your
He's
friend Chris
awesome.
on Instagram, dude, shredding it on a chair. And I've seen you guys on the chair. Are you guys gonna develop a chair or what? Like, what's happening here? Because I'm ready to start my chair wheeling journey.
Honestly, if you told me that there was no liability involved with any of the parts, we would have a chair. We would have a chair on the market, like the best chair, made out of like machined aluminum. It would
Leather
be
arm rest.
Like cup holders.
By the way, there's nobody that loves chair riding next to Tulio than this guy right here. Like you can give him if you say like, let's go to the beach right now and ride on chairs, he will literally stop whatever he's doing.
That's awesome.
I mean, literally.
That's
So
amazing. What's your setup process? Like, how are you making your chair for chair wheeling?
Yeah, so our setup. Well, when we first got into it, well, obviously we were inspired by Chris, and the other OGs within the community. But when we first got into it, we made a video and we posted it on Instagram. It's on our YouTube. It's everywhere. But we basically went to Walmart, and we're just screwing around in Walmart. We picked out a chair that was a beach chair, just like the only chair that's there. We bought some pool noodle. We bought some flip flops. We had it in our mind what we needed to do. We basically had to get a chair. We had to get something to support the bottom of the chair. We had to get sandals to activate the sensor of the concave GT foot pads. So we bought all that, and then we're like day 2 into riding, and like Mike's riding, and Mike's leaning like this. I'm like, what's going on? And his chair is totally bent. Like the feet of the chair are totally bent. So that chair didn't last. And then we realized, like, I think Mike told me, like, we should buy what Chris has. So we found what Chris uses. It's like some REI chair that was like literally sold out the other day, probably because everybody in the Wellman community is buying it.
Yeah.
And that chair is like really sturdy. So we take that chair, we do what Chris does, which is like put a wood pan.
You need a 2-inch by 1 inch, the length of the frame of the chair, both front and back. You need a couple pairs of sandals, some zip ties. You're rolling. Just watch one of our videos. We'll if you want the details, I'll send it to you. But
it's getting
if you've got
so
the right
popular.
setup, man. Like literally, like that chair has not moved or bent or anything.
Oh
and
my gosh.
we put like hundreds of miles on these chairs now, and it is no doubt like really, really, really fun. If you haven't
chair
done it, I
wheeling
encourage it.
is so popular that I've had people. So I still have a bunch of people like in my family, in my life, whatever, who are like, "What the heck is that thing?" Like, "Oh, you don't know what a one wheel is? Like, where you been hiding?"
Yep.
But now everybody, all of a sudden, there must have been a video or two of
There's
this
been multiple
chair wheel
viral
guys,
ones
like,
that come
just-
across, and all of a
so,
sudden
like,
my DMs start getting flooded.
Yeah, all of a sudden, people who have nothing to do with any of this part of my life are like, "You need to do this. You need to do this. You need." And I'm like, "What do you?" I mean, obviously, I need to do it, but why is this your entry point into one wheel? This is hilarious.
It's how everybody who's never seen one wheel sees a one wheel. Is these dudes flying on the beach?
Just
in
cruising.
these-
But the real truth though is if you haven't cut a G-Wagon apart and put it on top of one wheel, you haven't lived. Have you seen that video? You gotta go check out the G-Wagon video. I found a, like, on Facebook Marketplace, I found like this G-Wagon that, like one of those.
Basically, what happened is we created the viral video of making the chair in Walmart,
Yeah.
and then this guy gets on Facebook and he's like, "I'm gonna find something else," and he's like looking at kayaks, I'm
still gonna do a kayak, by the way.
like literally like a G-Wagon from like an 8-year-old, and like we bought the G-Wagon. I think you bought the kayak, or we're going to, but we bought the G-Wagon, and then it gets here, it's like literally like way too small for us. We just start like
cutting it up with a Dremel and just like. Yeah, go check out those videos if you haven't.
Dude, that's awesome.
It was hard to top the Walmart sort of chair video, but we had fun.
Man, my kid's
I think I
Power
was
Wheel is
bruised
about
up
to
for
get a
2 weeks.
makeover. My kid's Power Wheels have been sitting not doing anything. It's about to get mutilated.
I challenge the community right now to go buy the Barbie van that's at Walmart. It's literally huge. And I sent Nick a picture one day. I'm like, let's buy the Barbie van, and we're going to put it on top of Onewheel.
That is awesome.
That would
Love
be
that.
insane. I've seen the tanks they have too. They have like kids tanks.
Oh, I didn't
where
see that.
It's got
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a little tank.
That's crazy.
War. It's gonna
Love
be war
this.
before you know it.
Oh man. So how often do you guys ride? Like, just get? I mean, not necessarily like on or off of a chair, but how often are you guys out on your boards? Because you guys sound real busy. So what's your ride schedule?
Lately, we've been riding a lot more than normal, and that's my wife rides an e-bike, and my Nick's brother rides an e-bike, Super 73s, and so that's encouraged us to get out more often. So we're not just taking off on the family and going to rides, but we've been joining some of the Hover Hooligans or the Flux Movement rides in Long Beach and Santa Monica, and then to ride for like hours at a time. We've been doing that on the weekends a lot. It's hard, because we're here late, we get here early. So during the week it's tough, but we've been trying to get out on like Thursday to go ride with groups, and we're committed to doing more of that. We see the value of that, and we get to meet our customers that we haven't met, and so I don't know if you want to add to that.
yeah, no, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
just in general, riding too, like just getting that in, like for yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, I've been working too much. I
Oh,
need to go
totally.
ride.
It's a good release. We kind of forget about everything when we ride.
Yeah.
We used to ride a lot more than we've been, but it's great. No, it's great. It allows us to, personally test products on our own and do everything that we want to do.
Are you guys going to like Float Life Fest or any other festivals or anything this year?
Yeah, we'll be at Float Life Fest this month.
Sweet. You better-
So we're really looking
here
forward
it
to
comes.
that.
Yeah, we put a lot of energy into Float Life Fest. There's
Yeah.
so many amazing events that everybody's putting together, and it's tough because you got to kind of pick a couple that you're involved in, and because it's just so hard to be at all of them, right? Like you can be there and
yeah.
sort of be halfway in, but we really put a lot of energy into Float Life Fest, and we're super stoked what Justin and his team is doing there. And but yeah, we're going to be there, and we look forward to seeing everybody.
Christian will be there.
I'll be there. Yeah, I'll come.
I want
find
to
you.
be there.
Yeah,
We're
working on it. We're working on it. We just
You gotta come. Gotta be there.
If it was easy to leave kids that are 6'3"
Yeah.
and 1 and
Totally
a
understand.
full-time business and all
Yeah.
that, it would be a little more acceptable.
I could only imagine. Yeah, absolutely.
We got them all to Oaks. I took them all with me to Oak City Shred Fest. That was amazing,
Nice.
but it was still a fucking nightmare to
Yeah.
camp with kids.
At
And
first, the first day, I was
yeah.
like, "Man, I'm super jealous that I didn't bring any of my kids or my wife or whatever." And then by day 2, I was like, "Actually, I'm good." But my wife Onewheels now, so I'm gonna try to get her to come to something.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Next year, if things go well this year, like next year,
things
like
are gonna go well.
a one
We're
wheel
going.
tour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to schedule the events
Yeah.
in, meet the people, bring our cast equipment, have the in-person interviews, because like we love meeting people. Like this stokes our day coming to meet you guys.
Yeah.
But it would be 10,000 times better if I was like right in front of you in the room and we were just able to feel this energy and the connection, and like we love the in-person interviews, so we'd love to get out. And, like,
the next podcast you got to come here. Come
Okay.
and we'll do
Yeah.
you can see the facilities
tour,
and
yeah.
bring the kids and we'll do a podcast while they're in the
That'd
room.
be sweet.
That would be
awesome.
a blast. We could hit up Ren while we're up there too, because that's California.
There you go.
Our producer, which
Hi, I'm right here.
That's it. Hi, I'm
Hey,
right
we
here.
could get,
Hi,
we
I'm
could get
right
Ren to we could get Ren to join the podcast. I
And
know how to
don't
do that.
tease me like that. Why are you doing
This
that? to
dude.
me?
honestly, it probably just happened. That's the nature of it. I have another question. I think this is one of my last questions for you guys. Like, I want to make sure we get all your promo and tell people where to find you and all that good jazz. But I want to know right now, between both of you, we'll get Mike and Nick's feedback, your favorite ride setup with what you guys got going on right now. What's your GT kitted out with?
Yeah, for sure. Right now, I've got the Onewheel GT. I've got the Craft&Ride Spectrum magnetic fender. I've got the one-tail flare on there. We've got some Craft&Ride grip tape, and I think Aqua Serape is what I have on my board. It's like a light blue setup.
Oh, sick.
And then we've got some Craft&Ride rail guards on there. So that's my setup right now. Oh, and then the chair. So like literally since I discovered the chair.
What's your tire?
Yeah, stock slick tire, low PSI. But since I discovered the chair, I literally haven't stood up. So I've just been riding in the chair.
No more
I stand
exercise
up.
for you.
You know,
That's right.
the funny part about that though, when we all ride, is that as a dad, like whether he's 26 or not, 27, 26,
26.
26, you worry still about, like, I've broken ribs. We've all gotten hurt. Like, so my anxiety level when we ride together is so, because if you crash and you're sitting down, it's so different. And I think he's never really even crashed sitting down. So it's a nice.
It feels definitely safer.
Yeah, it's safer.
You can still get hurt, but it's a lot safer.
Yeah, we're not telling everybody to go ride a chair.
Yeah,
But,
this is not an
and by the way,
official
my-
endorsement. Yeah.
Yeah. My setup is identical to Nick's, except I'm riding cabrios. So the Flare is an amazing foot pad that I've really been enjoying. I'm riding Craft&Ride railguards, Craft&Ride grip tape.
You got the OG Serape grip on
Yeah,
yours.
OG Serape, not OJ. And I'm running a treaded stock, but low PSI like Nick. Major difference with low PSI. Not crazy. I think maybe 14, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
And cabrios. So
Okay.
yeah,
Sick.
it's,
Have you guys ridden the
yeah.
Enduro? Are you guys stock the Enduro, right? The GT Enduro?
we
or-
do.
Okay.
Yeah, we did when it was available. Yeah.
Yeah, we had
They were-
the XR version on our website, sold out of that, and then we haven't had the GTs in stock yet, so we're waiting on a restock of both the XR and the GT.
Have you guys ridden it?
We've ridden the XR, not the GT though.
At the GT?
Yeah.
Or actually, I think I got a chance to try it at a group ride in LA, but not enough time to really get like too much of an opinion. But it's a lot of the feedback from the community is that people love
It's
it. So
a
we're
fire
excited.
tire, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Man,
It's a
Yeah.
fire tire.
I upgraded my grip tape to Craft&Ride grip tape very recently. Actually, before Oak City, I had this dilemma where I had to buy some new pads, and I bought from you guys, and I bought the wrong size, and I emailed you, and you were like, yeah, totally, send them back. And then I was like, I don't think they're gonna get here in time. I'm just gonna order another set and like work it out. I don't know. I'm sure you do this every day, so you wouldn't remember it, but. I was like freaking out. I'm like, I'm leaving in 4 days, and you're like, dude, you're gonna get it in 2 days. Just like it'll be good. I was like,
I remember
okay, yeah. I was like, I'm all yours,
That's
dude.
awesome.
And they came in 2 days, and I had a great time. It was awesome.
Good for you.
That's
And
great.
awesome.
I ate shit really hard, and so I was grateful to have
Grateful
it.
for the
Yeah.
pads because he ate shit
Yeah.
hard.
I was very grateful.
I have a question about the air pad, right? Like what's it all about? I've seen it on your site and stuff, but I want to know.
I want Nick to take that because Nick put a ton of effort into that, and Nick personally wrote the patent along with members of our team. But maybe you could just share your.
Yeah, for sure.
thoughts on
So
it.
the AirPad came about because, for 5 years we've been making wood foot pads. There are other harder urethane foot pads that are on the market, but there's never been a foot pad where you hold it and you can squeeze it and it has some cushion to it and that you can actually push in and feel with your finger. And so we wanted to create that. And so, when we started the design phase of the AirPad, the one thing that we discovered is that when you make a foot pad really soft, it allows the screws of the foot pad to pull out. And so technically you can't even have the foot pad stay on the Onewheel. So what we did was we created this aluminum reinforced interior, which is basically like an air pad, which is a super soft, we call it gel technology, where the material that the foot pad's made of is super squishy, but we reinforce it with an aluminum, basically an insert that goes into the foot pad. And when you put your screws in, the screws can't pull through the aluminum, so the foot pad stays mounted on the Onewheel. And so we patented that system. It's currently patent pending. It should be going through very soon. But we did that for the XR, and so that was one of the things that we did. So you were able to have a foot pad that was very stable, very well structured to the Onewheel. There was no gaps like some of the other foot pads experience. And then on top of it, you step on it, and it's got some squish to it. Not too much, not too little, just the right amount. So we did that for the XR. And then we took that to the Pint. So the Pint has the same build. The Pint, we changed the shape up. We made it a little bit more concave, a little bit more kick. And what that does is you're able to step into it and you feel the flex of the foot pad on the outsides and on the back. And so that allows you to really feel the gel tech and what we've created. And now we're taking it to the GT. So very soon, within about a month, we're going to have air pads for GT that are on the market. And
That's
this,
gonna
in
be
my
awesome.
opinion, this in my opinion is going to be the best foot pad that we've ever made. And so when you step on this, the outsides of the foot pad are going to flex, not too much. It's going to be extremely durable. The grip tape's the widest we've ever made it along the edge of the foot pad, so you've got the most surface area out of every foot pad. It's basically the ultimate foot pad, and it's called Air Pad for GT, and it'll be out.
Think of it like the concept of a running shoe where you push on the heel and you can feel that flex. That same idea applies to the foot pad. And then the other thing that when Nick was talking about the reinforced interior, one of the challenges with any foot pads that are not solid wood or other material is that you get a gap on the side rail. So if you've ever looked at some foot pads on the market, you can see sort of a gap. We've addressed that. So every foot pad sits completely flush on the rail and you don't have
so
that gap.
sick.
And the gap is problematic because you can get dirt and debris in there, and just it's also aesthetics. We're all crazy about the way our one wheels look, and so we want them to look as perfect as possible. And so to get that perfect fit, that reinforced interior achieves that, in addition to the possibility of any screws actually pulling through.
Yeah,
That's
I need
awesome.
my one wheel to look absolutely perfect until I fuck it up. That's kind of how it works. So,
Yeah.
with that, is it flight fender compatible? This AirPad? Because I'm in the market. I love
in
my
the market.
I love my GT to death.
Yeah.
But man, those longer rides, I
Man.
honestly I'll give my wife the GT. Technically, it's her GT is how I got
That's
to buy
how you.
it.
That's how you just
so
justified the purchase.
I ride my XR because I'm like, man, the foot pads are way more cushy. Like, it's a better ride overall. The GT is the plastic pads are a little rough for those longer rides. But
Yeah, the Air Pad is compatible with flight fenders, so you'll be able to use it with that and any other fender on the market.
That's
And,
sweet.
and just to add, like when we've talked about like not to veer off on foot pads, but we listen carefully to the market, and most recently we introduced a flat foot pad for the GT. And you're probably thinking, wait, you guys founded the company on, a concave foot pad for one wheel, but now you're making a flat, and people are ranting and raving about a flat foot pad. And when you ride it, you say to yourself, wow, this feels actually really good. So one of the complaints of the stock foot pad is that it's sharp on the edges, right? And so when your foot's on it, you get foot pain, whatever. So this flat foot pad for GT is something that people are really enjoying, and that's available now as well. And that's a wood, non-urethane material.
I saw that today when I was researching some of your products, and I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna buy that.
Yeah.
Like that's I don't know why. Like but I'm probably gonna buy
I
that.
know,
It looks so good.
I know Float Life said the Cush is about ready or whatever,
Right,
and then
yeah.
I'm very interested in the AirPad for sure. That's,
I'm definitely gonna get something. I'm gonna upgrade that. That'll be one of the first things I upgrade, I think.
Yeah.
When I
Awesome.
Well,
once I get there.
dudes, as we come to a close in this episode, first off, I just got to say thank you very much for taking the time to
Yeah,
come
thanks.
out and talk with us on this show. We love bringing people like you to the community. We were very stoked about this episode, being able to talk with you guys, and even more stoked is that you guys said that you would be willing to partner with us on a giveaway, right, for the people who are listening to this episode.
100%.
That
What we're gonna-
I'm stoked about.
Yeah, what we're going to do is when this podcast comes out and everybody's listening to this, all you have to do is share this podcast to your story on Instagram, Facebook, wherever, or share it to your feed. You can post it in your feed. But everybody who shares this podcast up until, I don't know the exact date yet, but it'll be a few days out from when we announce this. We'll announce the official winner. We'll pick one random winner on the Craft&Ride Instagram, Facebook, all of our social channels. But everybody, if you're listening to this podcast, go out there, share, tag us, Pushback, Craft&Ride, and let's get it going.
And tell them what they're getting.
Yeah. Oh, and then the winner obviously is going to get Cabrio fenders
Yeah.
for the GT
Taylor, can we pull up an actual photo of that too? The Cabrios.
and magnetic as well. So you
Love
get
that.
a set
So
of Cabrios and magnetic.
is this so one winner gets both? Is that the or
Absolutely.
One
Yep.
winner gets both. Yep.
That's so awesome. Thank you guys so much
For the 6 days in Ohio, you
that.
get to use the Cabrios, and for the remaining days, you get
Yeah.
to use the
Yeah,
magnetic.
yeah. So stoked about this. Thank you so much
Absolutely
for the partnership on this.
other than that, where can people find Mike and Nick? Is it just the Craft&Ride Instagram? Like how can people find out and follow you guys?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in some of the other places that are less likely to be known, LinkedIn, you can learn a lot about our company there, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
TikTok.
I mean, we're everywhere, and
YouTube.
we try to be. We realize that not everybody's a fan of just Instagram, so YouTube everywhere.
And our username is at Craft&Ride on all platforms, so you can find us there.
And
And I just want to say thank you to you guys for having us on this podcast. It's a great honor. Last night I was listening to some of your podcasts. You guys have a great thing going on, and you should keep going. And we'll be of assistance if you want to get
Thank
some other
you.
people on that we know of. And I think we need to do a Ren X Craft&Ride X Pushback podcast. That'd be kind of cool.
That
Yeah,
would
let's
be
make that
cool.
happen.
I'd be down for that.
Ren's a homie,
Yeah.
so we
I'm
we would
for it.
love that. We can,
Awesome.
We can get Ren over here, only an hour away. I'll go pick him up, and if that's what it takes. And
Sweet.
That would be perfect.
That'd be so
it would
good,
be
yeah.
even better for us to.
We-
We'll fly out. We'll make it a full.
Yeah. We'll come to you on that
hey,
one.
listen,
yeah.
guys, we're 7 minutes from the airport, maybe 10 minutes down the street, Ontario Airport. We'll come pick you up, and so we can.
That'd be
killer.
awesome.
That's
I
that's a vibe.
I would love that. We would love that. I have one thing. I want to be respectful of your time, and I know we're over an hour here, but the one thing we always ask, and so you can be as brief or not brief as you want, but I'd love to hear from each of you. Worst nosedive. What was your worst nosedive?
Oh my goodness.
I'll go first.
I'm gonna actually.
Go first.
Well, tell them about your story on V1, but then I'm gonna let you tell the story about me.
Yeah, so I think I've nosedived about 3 times. The first time that it happened, I didn't nosedive for a long time after that because I was very careful. But the first time that I nosedived, I was riding in the neighborhood. It was V1, super confident, right? Didn't know what pushback was. Didn't know anything about the board. I'm riding and I'm going pretty fast. I'm probably like between 15 and 20 miles an hour. And I'm staring like at the houses as I go by. I see my neighbors and I wave at them. And literally as I'm waving, nosedive flew off. And I literally have a scar. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a scar right here, a scar on my knee, a scar on my shoulder from landing and hitting all 3 sides of my body. And then I literally still wear the pants to this day. I have a rip in my pants from the nosedive. But yeah, that was my nosedive experience. But after that, I learned, okay, there's more to this.
There's
pushback
limitations to
and,
the board. It was you, Steezy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm afraid of this board.
I'll share that my worst was the most recent of them all, and it was 2 broken ribs. Ribs are the worst, like when you break ribs and you can't lay down. It's just a nightmare. But Nick and I were riding through several cities to just go out and ride to this place called Claremont. And we were riding on what's called the Pacific Electric Trail. It's just this nice concrete trail that just goes for, 8-10 miles. And it was a Sunday afternoon, couldn't be more sunny and beautiful. It's always when you think it's not going to happen, when you're just your most confident, not doing anything stupid, just, got too much of an edge and went down really, really hard. And I too, actually, there's a correlation between waving and doing something that takes your attention away from looking ahead. And there was a guy that I was saying hi to as we were riding, and Nick was ahead of me, and all he hears is just me just slamming. And so I think we ended up taking an Uber home. I was blood everywhere.
Oh man.
It was rider fault, I think, but I just caught like a front left edge. I think I had just changed my PSI. I asked a cyclist to use his air canister, and my the tire became so hard that, similar to snowboarding or skiing, I caught an edge and then just nosedived on the front left side of my bumper. And it was horrible. And I'm way different in terms of how fast I ride now than years back. I think back to how fast I used to ride at like previous Race for the Rail, in between the event and just riding with a big crew. And I just can't believe that I survived all of that. And so now I'm so much more chill just because I can't afford it. Like I can't afford my hands to get jacked and my ribs ever again. It's just so painful. I think I still am recovering from like almost 3 years ago.
Dude, the rib recoveries like last I would say a lifetime, because like I broken ribs in high school, and like there'll still be times like if I'm breathing way too hard, or like if I've fallen somewhere, like I just, maybe it's mental, but I feel that pain come back right in that spot where that rib snatched.
No,
and
it's
just like, how did the rib? Did you land on the board? Did you land on like a curb? Like what?
It was well, that was a different time. There's been I broke a rib when I had chargers in a backpack on my back, and I flipped and landed on my back. But this time was just landing on my chest, and breaking I think the front 2 or back. I can't even remember. Like just terrible. Yeah. And I will say that, like, again, I think that we're far more prone on any other board than GT. GT has changed the way your level of confidence is, just because it keeps you up, and I think everybody's experienced that. But like, the likelihood of nosediving is so far less, just the way that that board operates.
Yeah.
And so, again, don't use that as like taking your confidence here, because you'll find yourself nosediving. But it's helped. Like, it's the safety of riding has gotten better. I still love XR. I still love getting on my XR, and it's just loose, and it feels like a skateboard. It's just more loose and more, flowy. But I've gotten to love GT, so I pretty much am stuck to that now.
Sick. Do you think with the XR, like, and all that, I mean, there's still some people making third-party parts as far as like the rails and stuff, and people try, the community developed Vesk project, right, for Onewheels. Is that any of that on your guys' horizon to carry parts for that, or you just kind of seeing what happens with that right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're watching carefully. I think our big thing is just safety first. As long as the rider's safe, like, and if there's demand for certain things, we'll build it. But we haven't paid a lot of attention to Vesk. Not that we're not interested. It's just that as a company and where we invest in tooling and overall operations, like, we have to think global and the size of the market. Like, when we build a mold, we don't build it for 300 pieces. We have to think larger because of the investment that goes into it. So, but also that's important, but also safety, and we want to respect that. When you start tinkering with the board and getting inside electronics and whatnot, that there's risk with that. But
yeah, it's wild. It's Wild West for sure.
Yeah, we're certainly not the Vesk police, but we just sort of we watch, right?
Yeah.
And we listen. For
I'll be
what's
interested to see,
happening,
because Ren had just talked about saying he's going to be building one of the Vesks and stuff, so that'll probably give it some decent attention, and we'll see what his results are coming about. But, like, it's so interesting to see all the people. Like, we had Maxia on, we had Chris Richardson, we had Wee Lee on, all those dudes to talk about that kind of to our kickoff to season 2 and the Vesk project. And I mean, it's still, I have one sitting over here that I haven't installed yet. Like, it still is like, it's a mind fuck is all I can say.
I think what's really cool about what they're all doing is that if there are things that come out of that can be then brought into a production board from Onewheel, and Onewheel sort of listens to what the community's. I mean, listen, Onewheel has listened to the community more than ever. So if Vesk creates a more flowy ride, longer ride, more ability to adjust and tune and whatnot, that's great learning for future motion, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not to build a board that you can DIY, but maybe learn what it is that people like.
Yeah, customization and just
sure.
I mean, that's kind of like what you're saying, like, every industry thrives with competition, right?
Yeah, competition is always good. And now they have a podcast too, so competition for us, we got to do better.
Yeah, I'm
But,
excited. I love seeing Kyle and all those dudes. They had started their little podcast. They were talking. I'm excited to see their next episode if they have it come across.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's it for us.
That's it. Anything else you guys want to part with?
Yeah,
or?
any shameless plugs? We're here. It's a platform for you. So.
We love what you guys are doing. It's not an easy thing, and the quality of your show is awesome. As Nick said, we've both seen bits and pieces. I'm going to start watching more, but keep doing what you're doing. It's killer. I think that we need more of that, and it gives all the companies and writers an opportunity to share their thoughts, and we need that in this community. And so, and lastly, we're super grateful, as Nick said earlier, to be on with you guys today, and we thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And I would like to say a huge thank you and shout out to the community. Shout out to you guys, writers like you. Like, we wouldn't be anywhere without writers like you and the rest of the community. We're founded on, partnering and being friends and part of the community with all these writers. And Craft&Ride will be nothing without that. So we just want to say thank you to all of you for supporting us and continuing to support us. And it means the world to us. And just thank you.
Last but not least, don't forget to share the giveaway when it gets posted, or share the podcast for the giveaway. And we'll see you all at Foot Life Fest.
Yep.
Heck yeah, we'll all be there.
Like, share,
Thank you.
subscribe,
Thank you
and
so
don't forget
much.
your Shinesty boxers. That's all I'm gonna say.
Are we sponsored all of a sudden?
This is just like we're sponsored. By, Zoa's not even here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
He was off today.
out.
He's sick today too. Yeah.
Not in the space. Best boxers in the world, man. Hammocks. It's great. It's
I
good
don't know.
stuff.
Take care, guys.
Hey,
All right,
thank
thanks.
you. Take
Thanks.
care, guys. Thank you so much for popping on. And guys, this is Been another great episode.
Another awesome episode.
Another awesome episode.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Keep on rocking.